cheaper than the cheapest parts that they can make. You know, professional services, you don't have to take the lowest bidder.
No, we didn't with the audit, and I feel very good about how we used the auditor process.
Yeah. Did they start, Jonathan? I forgot to ask.
I don't know any links, otherwise in the contract, but they should, right?
Yeah, they should have started. Hard to believe.
I know, but I did, because we're recording. I can't tell you what they can. I don't care how many flowers you bought.
Are we ready?
When you come home, that house is graduated, you're like, this is the best ever. I had to make them in, that's the only other.
Okay. I will now bring the Capital Projects Operations Committee meeting to order. If there's no courtesy of the floor, which I don't see, we'll move right to our projects. Mr. Emili, would you please step forward and give me a brief rundown of something we haven't talked about in several months?
Sure, and I'm sorry, I should have introduced myself when I came up earlier. My name is Mike Emili. I'm the Public Works Director for the county. So just to start off by giving some updates at the Graysdale Nursing Home with the grease interceptor replacement. Contract was awarded to D&M Construction last fall to replace the existing grease interceptor tank for the facility. The new tank has been fabricated and the site work is prepared to start next week. We anticipate it to take approximately 1 week to dig out the old tank, put in the new tank, backfill it. So the project should be entirely completed in early March.
Early March.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions on that from anybody? Next, garden repaving project.
Okay, so this is to repair and repave portions of the Graysdale Gardens that has experienced some distress from tree roots heaving sections of the pavement, as well as just some depressions over time forming. The project is currently out to bid. We have had to extend the bid period twice now because we've had pre-construction meeting or pre-bid meetings scheduled out at the site, and we've gotten snow both times just before the meetings. So we'd like to have it when the area is free and clear of snow so the contractors can come out and get a good picture of what they're looking at. So that project, like I said, is still out to bid. We should get those results back in the next couple weeks.
Any questions? Water tower rehabilitation.
Okay, we received 2 bids in December to rehab the existing water tower that services the Graysdale campus. Contract has since been awarded to D&M Painting, and the work on that will start up this spring once the temperatures get more conducive to painting.
How many bids do we have on that?
2.
D&M and who else?
Allied Painting, I believe their name was.
Is D&M local?
I believe they're from Central PA.
Any other other questions? Okay, let's move on.
Okay, the life safety generator replacement. This is the project that I touched on earlier at the finance meeting, where we're going to be replacing the 2 existing generators with 1 larger unit.
You said earlier that they're diesel.
Correct.
At any point with any of these generators, is it cheaper if we're close to a gas line?
We try to keep it separate just in case in the event of emergency, it's easier for us to get diesel than natural gas if there's an issue with the line.
Okay.
I'm assuming that means there's no city gas nearby that site, correct?
There is a gas main that feeds the boiler house out at Graysdale.
I'm going to say it's not really it just seems considerably cheaper, the city gas compared to diesel, but you guys, that's way past that point.
Yeah, but it's future we need to look at too, correct?
Well, we did look into natural gas versus diesel when we installed the new generator at the prison, just outside the loading dock area, and the natural gas generator was significantly more expensive. Given that these are life safety generators that run, we test them weekly, that's about the only run time that they really receive. So they don't run for long enough to really make the fuel consumption much of an issue between diesel versus natural gas.
Good point. Anybody else got any questions? Okay, let's move on to the prison.
Okay, the D-tier renovations, contracts were awarded last year to Schultz for the general construction, the Worco Group for plumbing and HVAC, and Wingap Electric for the electric to renovate the D-tier. We held the project kickoff meeting in December. Recently, the demolition and lead abatement work has started, and the schedule for that project is showing it to be substantially completed around the end of this year.
The end of December 22?
That is correct.
Are we moving people out of D-tier?
It's currently unoccupied.
Oh, okay, so it hasn't been occupied.
Yes, it's been vacant since about 2017, I believe.
Tara, you have a question?
Yeah, I'm just trying to, I've been to the prison, I'm just trying to get a visual of what the D tier is.
So it's like right where the gate is, where the sheriff's vehicles enter the prison. There's like a courtyard area, and the D tier is right off of that.
Is this a previously renovated portion, or is it it's not the really, really old portion?
No, I believe it
It's
dates
like-
back to like the 1960s, if I
Okay.
recall correctly.
That's what I wanted to know.
60s? That's old, okay. Any other, Mr. Cusack?
Yeah, the D tier, how many beds would that, when the project is done, how many beds are affected and how many could potentially be brought back online?
I believe there will be 36 beds when it's all said and done.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else from council? Security upgrades.
Okay, a PO was issued last year to Stanley Security to upgrade the existing analog video system with a new IP-based system for both the prison as well as the West Easton facility. We're also going to be replacing the existing analog cameras with the new hybrid IP cameras. The components of the previous system were getting to be outdated and no longer manufactured, so it was becoming a problem for them to get replacement parts for them. They've had some delays procuring the new equipment, but we are expecting the installation of that to begin in the next coming weeks.
Questions? Security. If my memory serves me correct, in the budget, juvenile justice was doing a major update on their hub. Do you have any idea if that's being done?
I'm not
As
sure.
far as communications, there was something that was getting done?
I'm not sure what you're referring to, Mr. Myers.
That was in their budget. Anybody remember what they were talking about? He spent like almost $500,000. He was doing some work at the Juvenile Justice Center on their central communication center.
That's not something I'd be involved with.
Okay. Can you, Linda, make sure I put that on the agenda for courts and corrections, please. Can we make a note of that? Because that was almost $500,000. He was doing work that we budgeted for last year. All right. I didn't know if you were a part of that or not. Thanks, Mike. If there are no other questions, we're going to move on to the
Yes.
government center. Go, John, go ahead.
Yeah, on the West Easton site, what's the status of that facility?
We are finalizing the extension of the lease, and the current Director of Corrections is making plans to reopen it with, as infection rates continue to decline and we have more and more vaccinated staff, and of course, all of the inmates currently need to be vaccinated to participate in work release. But I anticipate to have some news for you about that sometime in the spring.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, go ahead, Mike.
Okay, so the other part of that generator replacement project that we had discussed earlier is over at the Juvenile Justice Center. So this is to replace the existing generator that we have there with a larger unit that's going to be capable of handling the HVAC equipment in the event of an outage. Because currently, the generator that we have out there now is not large enough to handle heating and cooling needs. So in the event of an extended power outage, we have to be very mindful of the temperatures in that building. If it reaches a certain point, we would have to transport the inmates to an alternate facility. So having this larger generator that can also control the HVAC will give us some additional peace of mind over there.
I'm gonna keep us out of trouble with the judges. Any questions from anybody on that? Okay, let's move to the energy performance contract, Johnson's Controls.
Okay, so this is the energy savings project that was approved late last year. And the projects really consist of 7 different types of energy savings measures. So I'll just give a brief overview of all 7 of those and where things currently stand. And just to give a larger sense of the project overall, we've started having some kickoff meetings. Johnson Controls is in the process of ordering the various equipment, a lot of which has long lead times. It's going to take several months to get here. So no physical work has started yet. We're still in the preliminary planning phases. But the first energy saving measure as part of that project is lighting upgrades. This will basically take us all the way to 100% LED lighting at all of our facilities. The installation for this work is scheduled to begin in April. So the second category is water conservation, and this measure is strictly going to be performed over at the prison through the use of electronic or hardwired shower and toilet flush valve controls, as well as some low flow fixtures. The prison has a problem with inmates just repeatedly flushing their toilets over and over and over again. So this gives them some way to limit the amount of flushes over a specific time period and save us some water.
Anyone have any questions on?
Do they take a lot of showers too? Is that a thing?
I don't know if there's a limit on the amount of showers they can take. I would assume so.
Well, I've never known a timer when you're in the shower. If there was, my wife would have one on me. Okay, let's move on to parks.
TMI.
Oh, there was a couple more parts of that project.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, so the steam trap replacement and mechanical systems installation is the third aspect of the JCI project.
Yeah.
That's being done over at the prison in Graysdale, and that work is scheduled to start up in June. Fourth would be controls upgrades. This is being done at multiple facilities. Our existing field controllers are getting to be outdated at this point, so it's going to be replacing them with new models and just completely overhauling our Meadows system, which gives us the control over our HVAC at these buildings. Next is the chiller replacement at the Juvenile Justice Center. This is scheduled to start in early May.
Is the equipment going to be available then?
Yes, they were able to locate a chiller that meets our specifications, and we're on track for May.
Well, good for you, because I didn't think you were going to get that early.
I was sweating it a little bit.
We had talked about it. Good for that.
Yes.
Good job.
Next is the HVAC upgrades at a number of facilities. We're replacing 3 air handlers and a rooftop unit at Juvenile Justice Center. That's tentatively scheduled for this fall. At Archives Building, we're going to be replacing 3 of the air handlers out there. That's tentatively scheduled for this summer. The 911 building will see the replacement of 2 rooftop units scheduled for this summer. And the Criminal Administration building will have a air handling unit and condensing unit replaced in the fall.
Where's the criminal? Is that the old police station?
Yes.
Do you have any on the list for future that you know you're going to have to do some chiller or changing work? Any other buildings that you might, or is that something for later?
That'd be at a later point.
Okay.
This will meet our needs for the foreseeable future.
Any questions on Johnson Controls issues from anybody? Okay, Mike?
So parks projects, we have the Louise Park bathroom upgrades. That project currently remains in design. A purchase order was issued to CXT for a prefabricated restroom facility, and the preliminary plans were recently received. Our design consultant, ELA Group, is finalizing the site work plans, and that project will be put out to bid in the spring.
Questions on that from anybody? Next one, Mike, maintenance facility.
Louise Park Barn, we're proceeding with plans to construct a new maintenance pole barn for the Parks Department out at Louise Moore. The design consultant will be revising the previous plans that we had put out to bid and get it back out to bid this spring.
So you're looking at a pole building?
Correct.
That should be cost savings.
It gives us a centralized location for our park staff to work out of.
Any questions on that from anybody?
Question?
Go ahead.
And where specifically did you say that was going to be?
It would be located behind the old coroner's building.
Behind the old coroner's building?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
What's going to happen to that building?
Someone should knock it down. No.
At this point, we don't have immediate plans for that building.
Yes, John Paul.
Mike, how many square feet is the building proposed to be? Off roundabout numbers.
I forget the square footage. It was going to be six bays with a small break room area for the staff.
So when you say pole building, like a true pole building or a pre-engineered like metal building, I'm just trying to get an idea of how big of a building we're talking about here.
It would be a pole building with concrete floors.
That's what I was thinking of.
Any other questions? Norbath.
So phase 3 of the Norbath Trail project, Collier's Engineering is finalizing the bid documents. This phase will consist of rehabilitating the 3 pedestrian bridges along the trail between Bull's Head and Weaversville Roads, as well as resurfacing the trail between these bridges. And that project will be out to bid in the next few weeks.
What are we resurfacing it with? Blacktop?
It's the same crushed stone material that we've been using on the other phases.
Questions? Okay, now we're going to go to Madam President's favorite subject, update on bridges.
So starting with Bridge 15, the Meadows Road Bridge, was put out to bid by PennDOT in December, and the contract has since been awarded to Grace Industries. The demolition work is scheduled to begin in March, and the engineering and geotechnical work for the replacement structure remains in progress.
Okay, any questions on that? Folks,
Good luck.
go ahead.
Projected completion time on that bridge?
Ooh, that's a PennDOT
Tough to
job.
estimate, huh?
It always seems to change when you ask PennDOT, but the demolition work should be completed by this summer. In terms of getting the replacement bridge erected, PennDOT's giving us a construction start date of around 2024 at the moment. But
That's so far away.
we are advocating to advance that schedule.
What happened in 2023? I'm sorry, I didn't wait to be recognized, Mr. Mayor. What happened in 2023?
Would they ever say 2023? I don't know if it was ever that far up.
2023, I'm gonna start a campaign. We've been waiting a long time. And I thought there was a promise that as soon as you, I thought there was a promise made.
Bridge 8.
Any more questions on Bridge 15? Bridge 8.
Okay, last update, Bridge 8, Cressman Road in Williams Township. The contract has been awarded to Nyleaf Bridge Corporation. Construction has not yet started at this point, as we've had some issues with the utility companies relocating their facilities, as well as some right-of-way acquisition challenges from the adjacent homeowners. We have made progress on both fronts, though, and work is expected to begin this spring.
John, can
John?
you broker that? Talk to your neighbors?
Let's just say that there's, the property adjoining the bridge was vacant for a significant amount of time. There's a new individual or family that moved in, and he was not aware of the status and what was going on with the bridge. And my understanding is we're trying to work with or around him to get the bridge fixed. So.
Take it it's not a smooth conversation at this point.
Well, sometimes when you purchase a property and you don't know the history of what went on, it can be difficult to engage. That bridge has been closed for, it's 4.5 years now, I believe. It's 4, I think.
It was August of 2018, so.
So it's been closed a long time. We went back and forth as to whether it should be repaired, replaced, and the decision was made to replace it. In the meantime, a previous homeowner had moved out they were cooperative because the property was vacant. Last year, somebody purchased it and moved in, and again, they weren't aware of the situation, and my hope is that we can move forward. We awarded that contract last March or April. Council did.
Yes, it's been a while.
I guess my only question is what specifically with the utilities are
Shifting.
a concern? Cable or, there's no plumbing down there, there's no natural gas.
Yeah, it's, the issues we had were specifically with MedEd and Verizon. At first, the original plan required an easement from one of the property owners to place a pole on private property. They refused to grant them that. So that kind of took option 1 off the table, so we had to go back to the drawing board. We came up with an alternate plan, and that's the one that we've been proceeding with. MedEd has performed their work. We're still waiting on Verizon to relocate their lines.
Is there an
John Paul.
estimated completion date for this bridge or not yet?
If construction starts up this spring, it should be completed by the end of this year.
Any other questions? Question, how many bridges are we responsible for lighting Northampton County? Is there a number of them that we are worried about, that we late, like 33 Exchange?
Light,
No.
our responsibility for the lighting is just at the highway interchanges. We don't have any lighting on any of the county-owned bridges.
So the exchanges, are they all LED lights?
No, they're not.
Is that something we plan on doing in the future as we change them out?
We have looked into it. It's very costly, so it's something that we would probably be doing, like you said, when the time comes to replace the light poles, but it's not something that we're proactively doing at this point in time.
Any thought of how maybe solar panels could help us with that?
We can certainly look into it. I know that our bridge superintendent, Landon Parker, has been looking into converting the lighting to LEDs, and he's been talking with City of Bethlehem because they, a few years back, upgraded section of 378 to LED lighting. So he's been looking into it in terms of what our options are for upgrading those poles.
How about the next time we meet, you bring the young man in and he try to give us an update on what history of background checks he's doing on that? That can be a cost savings to the county. Anybody disagree with that? If not, Tara?
Yeah, so I definitely think that's a good idea, because they have those lights along the American Parkway, and I'm wondering, and I think I mentioned that before, but isn't there any infrastructure money coming to the county for green projects that could be allocated like that?
Not that I'm aware of, but I could look into that.
Okay, yeah, because I mean, I just saw yesterday that there's some infrastructure money coming to Allentown, hoping that we get some of that too,
Good idea.
right?
Anyone else have any other questions? And if not, Mikey, thank you for coming and giving us an update. You and I'll give you a call, but figure out we'll have another meeting again. With that said, I'd have a motion to adjourn. We're out of here. Thank you.
Good idea. Dusty papers, huh?
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Mike.